One of my preoccupations is the extent to which recognition of any kind in our society, and certainly promotion in the worldly institutions of our society, is predicated on self-assertion, competition, and often the choices of people at the top. And this is completely different in every way. And it's also very exploratory and evolutionary. It's not, hey, here's our plan and do this and you'll all be happy. It's got a lot of faith that people, just with the right kind of nudges, you can build something that really starts to surprise, in a big way on the upside. Welcome to part 2 of this episode of Uncomfortable Collisions with Reality. In part 1, which you can find in the show notes, we discussed loneliness, declining fertility, our increasing tendency to hang out with people just like us, and all of the costs that is producing. And this part of the conversation with my friend and colleague, Jim Savage, is about what we are doing, the startup that Jim has co-founded called Feather, which is trying to tackle some of those problems and make money at the same time. So on with the show.
If you look at the American Time Use Survey and you look at how people are spending their time, doesn't matter what the age group is, what the gender, what the socioeconomic group is, most types of socializing are falling off a cliff. Especially in real life type socializing. So going for coffee with someone, going to a party, going to church, volunteering, you name it, people are doing less of it, with one important exception, and it is sports. So people are way more likely now to be doing some sports. And this holds as much for 70-year-olds as it does for 20-somethings. It's not just the pickleball craze among 30-year-old software engineers. It is everyone is doing more sports. And if you look at the things that predict whether someone's going to do more sports, those things are trending up. And so we can probably expect this trend to continue, that another decade, roughly 20 million Americans a day more will be doing some sports. And I think that's kind of cool. So we're seeing this collapse in traditional socializing. We're seeing this increase in sports. And we're like, hey, maybe we can make these two facts work for each other. So Feather is a platform that does two things. Firstly,
so your startup is called Feather, and go on.
And we're a platform that allows people to build businesses that get people together. So if you have a yoga studio or a surf school or a comedy club or anything like that that gets people in the same place, you can very, very easily build a business on our platform, sell your tickets, your memberships, your subscriptions, all that sort of thing.
And
communication.
And you could also use it for kind of regular dinner parties or something like that if you wanted to.
I've got a dinner party on Friday that is on Feather.
On Feather, there you are.
You can use it. Dinner parties, cooking clubs, whatever you want to do. Anything that involves people in the same place. Now, that's not new. There are about 70 different platforms that do something like that. I think Feather's interesting because you can run a 50,000 person festival or a dinner party or a yoga studio that has 30 classes a week. You can do many different types of things because it's a very flexible platform. But what we do is, I'm a machine learning guy. And so we learn a bunch of stuff about the people who are on the platform. And we're trying to do exactly the same thing that TikTok does. Rather than getting you scrolling through endless videos, we nudge you into getting back in real life with people. So we observe all sorts of things, like what class did you go to? You've got a profile. Did you send a friend request to someone else? Did you invite someone along? There are lots of ways that we reveal whether we're interested in spending more time with other people. And so we can take that sort of data and use it to encourage people to go back to class, to invite someone to a picnic, to invite someone along to a festival that they're going to on the platform. On one side, we're a platform, we can build a business. On the other, we're trying to nudge you to get offline and in real life with the people that you met at those places.
Yeah, exactly. So one way I like to think of this is that social media could have done this. It could have quite possibly done it also while making money, but possibly not as much money or as money as fast as it made it by basically revving everybody up and irritating them or whatever got them to continue scrolling. But the idea is that a social network which exists inside Feather, it's not like Twitter, but it's you're connected with all those people who are in the same club as you, going to the same dinner parties as you. Dinner parties is not a very good example here because you're going to know people who you've met at dinner, but if you're at a club and there are hundreds of people at the club, then there are lots of opportunities for the network to help you make connections. And obviously, you are, in my opinion, and I think yours, you don't want to push people around, you don't want to manipulate them, you're trying to enhance their lives rather than just immediately make money out of them. But we are trying to I declare myself a shareholder in this venture, and we are trying to make money by improving social connections rather than making them worse or destroying them.
Exactly. There's one interesting thing. So even if you go to a big club, the really fascinating bit of data that we see is when people are going to lots of events with each other at different places. So we've been focusing for the last few months on this niche of acrobats in North America. So we've got acrobats all through Canada, the United States, and Mexico who are on the platform, who go to their festivals or their classes, that sort of thing. The median person on the platform is not just going to one of the studios or festivals. They go to multiple organizers or multiple hosts events. And so we're starting to see what is that map of the acrobatics community in North America? What does that look like? And it turns out that when people are connected, they're much more likely to go to events. So we've run some A/B tests where we make it really easy for people to invite their friends as a part of the sign-up flow. So if I sign up to, Saturday morning handstand class,
yes,
as a part of the sign-up flow,
Jim, I've got to confess, I've never been to a handstand class Saturday morning or any other morning, but you obviously have. But you go on. My time in hand, I think the time when I might have been in a handstand class has come and gone in my life, and I will never be in
that's okay.
But you go on with your handstand class.
You can, when you're signing up, you just say, Saturday 10 o'clock, I sign up, I pay with Apple Pay, and then here are the people who you previously trained with. And if you click their names, they get a text message from the platform saying, hey, Jim's going to handstand class, he'd love for you to join.
Yeah.
And in one of our early experiments, we randomly sent that message to sometimes when you click the button and not to other people, so we could see what effect it had on actually signing up.
Yes.
And it more than doubled the rate of people signing up, just knowing that a friend was going.
Well, and that's very
basic stuff.
Well, but this ties in what I was saying earlier about social cues for engagement. This person who's sitting, and these are so it's a bit like sitting next to somebody on a bus, and then you both realize you're in acro. You both realize that you're going to the same thing. Well, that's a subject you can talk about. So you immediately narrow that social distance and create that permission to connect.
Yeah, and another thing that we did, because it can be awkward, especially for people who have gone along to something, they might be an outsider, they don't know anyone, they might be a little bit reserved. After events, we see a flurry of activity on the platform of a certain type, which is, we see people sending friend requests to each other. Yep. So, as a part of the sign up, you can consent to being on the list of people. And if you're on that list, you can see the other people who attended that event, and you can send friend requests. And if you are friends, then you can share details about which events you're going to. But we also recently rolled out this idea that came up in a conversation with you of allowing people to kind of pay compliments to each other, I guess. In the Facebook world, it was.
And again, in the terms of
nudges.
And in the terms we've discussed here, you can think of it as lowering the social barriers, just lowering them a bit. Yeah.
And what we see is every little community has been doing this differently. So some communities,
it's wonderful.
As a part of our little like or nudge or poke sort of thing, you can name the reason that you're giving this. And some communities have set up like alliterated compliments as a way of categorizing things. Other communities are gratuitously flirting with each other, sending roses.
There you are. We're making our contribution to the fertility crisis.
Yeah, exactly.
So this came, I won't go on about it, but I recall this coming up. I've got this thing which I call bottom-up meritocracy, this way in which you don't get, and the French, I've found out, have an expression for it, which is elections without candidates. So in a club, you might decide we need a treasurer, but we won't have an election for a treasurer. We'll get the word out who would be a good treasurer and then go and give them a tap on the shoulder. So that's what I call bottom-up meritocracy, because you're not arranging a popularity contest. You're trying to nurture everybody's sense of what of social choice, and in this case of sending compliments and so on. It's social connection, and yeah, it's a really fun thing to watch it and to what I mean. Your point about how different things are is a point, I think, about human creativity, the just amazingly the amazing number of ways we can flourish, if you like. And you're much more likely to get to that. You're much more likely to invite that in a bottom up way than in a top down way.
Yeah, and I think one of your bits of encouragement was, hey, rather than just having a like sort of thing,
Yeah.
um, allow people to be creative in what they're sending to each other. And we're actually leveraging that this weekend. So this weekend we've got a global event happening. It's happening in Tokyo, New York. I've got 6, 7 cities in Canada. We've got
Mm.
cities in Mexico, United States. I think we're up to about 30 cities now. It's called the world's biggest jam. So there will be all these acrobatics communities around the world
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, or roughly the same time, having a jam with their entire communities. And we're offering a few prizes to attendees of this event who behave in highly pro-social ways,
Yeah.
people who
Yeah.
really make someone else's day. And now we've got this mechanism to get a fair measure of who are those people who are,
Absolutely. I
if
think
you're
it's
getting
incredibly
compliments from
exciting.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredibly exciting. And if you think about this, one of my preoccupations is the extent to which recognition of any kind in our society, and certainly promotion in the worldly institutions of our society, is predicated on self-assertion, competition, and often the choices of people at the top. And this is completely different in every way. And so it's also very exploratory and evolutionary. It's not, hey, here's our plan and do this and you'll all be happy. It's got a lot of faith that people, just with the right kind of nudges, to use your term, you can build something that really starts to surprise in a big way on the upside. And boy, we've had some pretty big surprises on the downside from.
I had this thought a couple of years ago. There was this book, wasn't a particularly good one, that I was reading. What was it
I've got
called?
That's a whole category for me. Books I'm glad I've read that weren't very good books, but
Uh,
nevertheless, that they
it
lead
was
to something. Yeah.
Stolen Focus. I didn't love it, but
Yeah.
one of the thoughts I had while reading that book, he
Yeah.
blames a lot on these recommendation systems,
Yes.
kind of addicting us to our phones,
Yeah.
and which is probably right. They have done a whole bunch of bad things, but like the only reason that recommendation systems work so well at getting us addicted was because they were trying to maximize for the amount of time that we spent on our phones, which
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
a measure that we could get reliable feedback on.
That's right.
If but there are
They
many other fairly
Exactly.
reliable.
Look, another way of putting it, excuse me, another way of putting it is that they set up an evolutionary vector and just charged off after it. Well, we can
Yeah,
set up other ones.
yeah,
In, in,
exactly.
the- in the words of in the words of Groucho Marx, these are my principles. If you don't like them, I've got others.
But like you could, there's nothing to say that I couldn't, pay Meta some amount of money to just integrate it with my bank account and say, I want to maximize the amount of money I have instead of the amount of time I spend on your platform. And
Yes.
you could have some ML system that would send me the
Yeah.
sort of content that would
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
me really
Yeah.
neurotic about spending money and
Yes.
earning more or something. Like
Yes.
there are all sorts of behaviors that they could
Exactly.
potentially affect.
Exactly. And that's where technology comes in. Technology is an enhancer, an accelerator, an accentuator, and we've basically gone silent about what we want to accentuate, and we've had these people telling us what they want to accentuate, which is their money, which is our engagement.
And with Feather, unabashedly, we make a little bit of money on ticket sales. And if you want to use more of our marketing features, we'll take a bit more of the ticket sales. But it's very
Indeed.
simple business. We're not trying to maximize. We're trying to maximize you going to go and buy a ticket or a membership or something to one of our customers' gyms or studios, and that's very incentive aligned for the studio. But it's also something that we can measure and get
Yeah.
pretty quick
Yeah.
feedback on. And
Yeah, I
so,
don't want to say we're maximizing it, but we're certainly promoting it in ways that we like the idea of.
and
But yeah,
if we're able to nudge people to go and spend time with their friends, then that's great.
yeah. And we've also talked, I mean, we haven't sort of realized it much, but we've also talked about the idea that if this is successful, we would like the people on the platform to have a role in governing the choices that it makes.
Yeah, and this has been really fun. We've set up these user councils
Yeah.
where which is something that if you're an early stage startup operator,
Yep.
this was a Nicholas idea. Normally it's let's go and find some users and talk to them. And we just formalized that. We said, let's go and create a user council and
Yep.
basically make it really easy for people to, throw their hat in the ring and
Yep.
take a lot more direction from our customers
Yep.
than maybe is typical. And I think it's resulted in now we're seeing like I wouldn't say yet explosive, but definitely a strong organic growth with no sales effort at all on my part. Now
Yep.
there are acrobats and people in this community actively talking about it to their friends, signing up,
Yep.
creating businesses. Every day we
Yep.
see new businesses coming onto the platform
Yep.
because we've made it clear to the community that we care about what they want.
And as you know, I've got this fantasy, this idea that this user community can also be organized using methods like bottom-up meritocracy, that we can ask them who they think are doing the best job of this particular thing, which is governance of the platform, making proposals for governance on the platform, and you can have this other bottom-up driven meritorious community.
One of our other investors, Arthur Brightman, he kind of seeded one of these similar ideas in the world of crypto where the community itself would come up with proposals for changes to the Tezos blockchain, and unit holders in that blockchain could vote on those proposals,
Yeah.
but having a completely bottom-up sort of way of sourcing
Well, it's
ideas.
bottom up, but it's also it's bottom up, but it's wealth proportional voting.
Yeah.
Which is market. Well, it's not a bad thing, but it's that's kind of I'll have to think about it more to really, but there's clear distinction between that. We're quite familiar with that to this other type of meritocracy. Yeah, the whole thing. Anyway, that's a whole other thing to talk about.
So it's been an exciting year. We've now launched and growing well. We've got everything. We've been focusing on acrobatics. Of course, the standard line is that you should dominate with a small team, whatever niche you can really carve out and really make them very, very happy. At the same time, people have started in that community because this is a large and very active community of people who do other things as well. They teach yoga. Some of them run comedy clubs. We've got a disco in Philly that is just launched some more tickets on tonight. There's all these sorts of people who, because it's so easy to create your business and create your events and start selling tickets and inviting people along and making those people become friends, we have seen it kind of grow organically in directions that we weren't explicitly targeting at all.
Well, you weren't explicitly targeting it, but you were doing what I call engineering for serendipity. You built the thing and you're wanting to see where it's going to head.
Exactly. Maybe we get to do something about. I think that the tension we've got is we think that we're doing this because it will make it easier, much cheaper for people to create events. They can now make money from events more easily. They can host and invite people together, but also make it more likely that people who will go to events actually do become friends. So hopefully we do something about the loneliness crisis. If we're successful, this will mean a lot more people are spending more time in real life with each other.
Yeah.
But there is this tension here, and I want to call it out that we are a part of this problem of like allowing people to go and spend more time with people who are more like them.
Ah, yes, right.
Well, playing into this dominance that homophily has.
Yeah, okay, but then what we can do there is we can be aware of that, and whether there may well be, I mean, a product or I don't know whether it's a product, but a feature of the platform can be, would you like to meet people who are not like you? There are lots of ways that's the thing about technology. You get to have so much more say. And of course, and the way, I mean, this is also true for the tech oligarchs. They can't make people do things, and that's why they put so much effort into engagement. We can't make people do things, but we can help shape what's possible for them to do. And so, I don't think it's all bad. And it's certainly good to be aware of it. The other thing that we haven't talked about is that you're working in a very specific area where many of the sorts of things you've talked about you can see what sense that it makes. And then there's this other thing, excuse me, got a frog in my throat. This other thing that can be done with the platform, which is that you can just have businesses that are not thinking like this, and yet we can start introducing some of these more pro-social features to any old club, any old gathering. So I'm
and we're
quite
doing
excited
this
about that as well.
Yeah, so next week we're doing a pilot in Bend, Oregon, with a studio that teaches all sorts of things, and they haven't really, I wouldn't say that they have done the whole like pro-social playbook. The people who go there aren't necessarily friends. They don't really have
Yep.
much of a way for the community to build or invite each other or anything like that. There's no group chats or anything like this. So we're running an experiment of what happens if we go really deep with one of these businesses and help them become a pro-social business by, one, using our platform, but two, all the supporting maneuvers, the WhatsApp
Yep.
group, the really engaging the social butterflies who are already going to organize things. What
Yes.
things that we, if you're a imagine you're a rock promoter or a yoga studio owner or something,
Yep.
and the people in who are your customers, people attending your events, are actually very, very socially capable people and
Yep.
want to organize.
That's right.
And
And you
the
give
exist
them you structure the possibility for them. You recognize it, and that
Yep.
exactly right. Exactly right.
None of the existing platforms allow, a fan club of Nick Cave to go to a Nick Cave concert and then organize the 10 different drinks beforehand or
Yeah.
afterwards that could allow people to meet each
Yeah.
other.
And so where Wikipedia discovered all these people who were very happy to spend their own time documenting resistance against Benito Mussolini or whatever the hell they were doing.
I read an article yesterday about the various rocks in Scotland. There are hundreds of named rocks in Scotland,
Well,
and
blimey now.
or stones. I think it's stones in Scotland, and someone has spent a lot of time
Yeah.
writing a huge Wikipedia article about this.
Exactly, exactly. And why wouldn't we want that to happen at zero cost to anyone else? And
Yep.
and that's the resource that you're pointing to. You're saying there are these resources, they get pleasure and satisfaction out of socially connecting. Everyone is a winner here. And you go and find these positive externalities. They're positive social externalities. They're going to have positive economic externalities in various ways. Better connections are lower social welfare costs, lower mental health costs, higher productivity in various ways. And it sort of pisses me off that we got ourselves excited around about the time of Web 2 about all these things. And yes, a lot of them got hoovered up for money by Twitter and Facebook, and that's sad. And, you can thumb your nose at the people who did it, but there are just oodles of opportunity. There are just oodles of opportunities to make things better in ways large and small. And that's what we think we're doing.
Yeah,
So,
I think if you look at Wikipedia, if you look at Discord, if you look
yep,
at Reddit, Reddit has
yep,
these legions of these mods
yep.
who do a huge amount of unpaid work because they
Mm.
maintain their own little fiefdoms,
Yes,
and it's amazing work. It's one of the reasons that Reddit's very high quality, has some very high quality communities on it,
yeah,
and exactly the same sort of thing has not been harnessed in the real world,
yeah, exactly. Well,
and so that's
I'm
what we're excited by.
yes, yes, and there you are. There you are. You can thank us later, audience, when this has all come good. But it seems to be coming good, and really fun to talk with you, Jim, and get myself excited about these things, as I often do get excited about these things. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Nicholas, for your years of mentorship and support.
Thank you.